Morning, Playmates. It's me again. I think this is number 5 of my challenge of 10 vlogs. The challenge was something given to me by my current mentor, and it's always important in life, I think, to know when to be the student and when to be the teacher, and it changes all the time. And surprise, surprise, I have a story. And I do hope you're getting some benefit from the stories, because that's the reason I'm sharing them. The stories have only been shared with a very, very small number of people, very, very dear to me, and I've never shared them with anyone else. And they seem to get some benefit out of them, and so I do hope that you get benefit too. And the story concerns my life many, many years ago when I'd not long been married, and we had a young baby and another baby on the way. And I was really trying to get ahead in life, and we didn't have any money at all. When I look back on it, I was laden with debt, had very little income, but somehow didn't really care, just seemed to know that something good was going to happen. And I was reading all the amazing self-help books from back in the day. All the books, I think, that you have ever read and you're going to read all contain the same messages, and they're just articulated in different ways. And I think that's useful to us, because sometimes I might like the messages in blue and you might like the messages in red, and some people write them in blue and some people write them in red, and we just need to select the right colour for us. But I don't think there's anything new in this world. I think the ancient teachings became the teachings of back in the day, which have become the teachings of today, and they'll become the teachings of tomorrow. And it's all the same stuff. I read some self-help books, and one of the books said that it can be very helpful for you to get a fix on what you want, to draw a picture of what you want. And so one night I came in from work and I drew this picture of this little detached house, little front garden. I drew a odd-shaped car, actually. I remember drawing the shape of the car, and it was an odd-shaped car for the time. I don't know why I drew that. And I drew a picture of me, and I was stood at the front of the house with a briefcase, one of those satchel-type briefcases with a big buckle in the middle. And I drew a picture of me smoking a cigarette, which was really odd because I didn't smoke. And then about 5 years later, I got an opportunity up in the north of England, and we lived in the Midlands, in the middle of the country. And I got an opportunity in the north of England, and we took it. And we moved up there. It wasn't a massive move by today's standards. Back in the day, moving 2 hours away from your family was huge, absolutely huge. Funny how things change. And we got to this house and bought a house very quickly, actually. And we had all our stuff delivered, and we were unpacking everything. I was in the lounge downstairs, and my wife at the time was unpacking some stuff from storage boxes in the garage. Sadly, she's no longer with us. And she walked out to the front of the house, and I saw her from through the lounge window. She got a piece of paper in her hand, and she beckoned me to come out. And I walked out, and she said, "Just look at this." And what she'd found in one of the storage boxes was this picture from 5 years ago that I'd completely forgot about, put it away somewhere. And I looked at the picture, and the picture was pretty much an exact drawing of the house where we now lived. The outline of the house was exactly the same, even down to I'd actually drawn a piece of guttering in exactly the same place as it was in the house. There were 2 shrubs, 2 bushes in the front garden, and they were in exactly the same place in reality as they were in the drawing. The car that I'd drawn, this funny shaped car that I'd drawn, it was actually, I was lucky enough to get my first company car, and it was the just recently launched, it was the first 5 Series BMW. It was the 520i, it was the amazing one with the straight 6 engine. It was awesome, but it had this funny shape. And I'd drawn the shape of the car, even though the car wasn't even launched 5 years prior. It was exactly the same shape. The briefcase that I'd drawn, I actually now had one of those briefcases, like a satchel with the big buckle in the front. It was exactly the same as I'd drawn. And surprise, surprise, at that time in my life, I was now smoking. And I stood there and looked at it and I just couldn't believe it. It was exactly the same as I'd drawn 5 years before. I'd forgot all about it. And it was a great lesson. It was a great lesson in belief, and it was a great lesson for me. And it taught me that whatever you want in the world without, whatever you want in the real world, if there is such a thing, whatever you want in that world without, you cannot have it until you get it fully clear and have total clarity on it in your world within. And you must build it in your world within, firmly and securely and in great detail. And you must hold that image full of feeling and emotion and keep it in your mind at all times. Because when you do that, it does seem like you just act as a magnet, and you will indeed attract things into your life that will set you off on a journey to realize your dream. So you have to build it in your world within. You have to build it in enormous detail, full of passion and feeling and emotions. And you have to hold that image in your mind at all times. And when you do that, it does seem that all manner of unseen forces will come to your aid, and they will help you to manifest that in your real life, the world without. And what I think happens to us all is that we are so busy focusing in our mind and in our world within. We're so busy focusing on what we don't want to happen that guess what? It pretty much shows up all the time. We focus on what we don't want to happen, and then it shows up in real life because we're focusing on the wrong thing. We must focus on what we want to happen and take nice, gentle, but firm control of our thoughts. Because our thoughts are a bit like money. And when you focus on something you don't want to happen, isn't that really like spending money on something you don't like? Isn't that really like going down to the shop, seeing the most hideous thing you've ever seen and buying it? Because that's what happens if you agree that our thoughts are our money, our currency. So the message for today is, it's a true story. I would never be insincere and share something fictional with anybody. That's a true story. It happened to me. It proved to me that you must build it in your world within, firmly and securely and in amazing detail. And when you do that and you hold that thought, you can be confident that it is going to show up in your life, because you will become a magnet for all the things that you require to make that happen. So build everything you want in your world within, hold on to those dreams, fill them with passion and emotion, and make sure that you don't think about what you don't want to happen. So I hope you enjoyed that. It's Saturday morning, so I'm going to go and take my little man, my beautiful little dog, for a lovely walk up the mountains, and I'm going to get inspired by all this amazing universe all around us. So have a great day, be safe, and go well.